Now, from the station on your side, this is Wavy News 10.
Right now at 6, a terrifying crash and a complicated investigation after a bus and big rig collide on the interstate.
3 people are now dead, and police have a lot to piece together to figure out how everything went wrong in the middle of the night. Good evening, and thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Amy Avery. Lena has the night off.
And I'm Tom Shad. Details are coming together on what caused this overnight crash. It happened on I-64 East, just south of the Queens Creek Bridge in York County. A bus and tractor trailer collided around 1:30 this morning, killing 3 people. Tonight, we are learning a lot more about the chain of events leading up to this devastating crash. 10 of your side's Andy Fox has the story in York County.
We've reached the scene of the fatal crash. This is the tractor trailer involved. It was carrying Stella beer, and you can now see workers unloading it, putting it in the back of private vehicles. They had to do that because the trailer carrying it was, as you can see, scrapped. State police determined that the tractor trailer was traveling in the eastbound lane of Interstate 64. So was the passenger bus. As the passenger bus merged into the tractor trailer's path, the vehicles collided. You can see how the impact of the crash caused the tractor trailer to run off the left side of the interstate and continued into the median where it struck an embankment. The tractor trailer driver was then taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the bus and 20 passengers were also taken to hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. 3 additional passengers, though, 2 adult men and a woman on the bus, died at the scene. Charges are pending. None of those in the bus was wearing a seatbelt. Kathy Howe is a nearby resident. Hears the noise of the interstate all the time.
I think we just keep these folks and their families in our prayers and our thoughts, and just such a tough and very sad situation to be in at this time of the year in general. But whew, and it also makes me thankful for where we are right now.
So they've unloaded the Stella beer, and over here to the left you can see there are no cars on Interstate 64 heading west. The reason why, we're told, there's been another accident over the hill there. It has been a deadly, busy day on Interstate 64 in York County. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
And we will continue to watch for additional details on this story and post any updates as we get them on Wavy.com.
Another pretty serious situation developing in Portsmouth. That's where a fire broke out at the Wheelabrator trash plant on the western side of the Jordan Bridge. It happened just before noon when the trash conveyor belt caught on fire. No one was hurt, but there's still a big problem.
And that conveyor belt extends above Elm Avenue at the opening of the bridge, and it's buckling. So for the time being, the Jordan Bridge is closed so that shaft doesn't collapse on any cars. We will keep you updated. Also tonight, a man accused of killing his wife on the peninsula faces a judge. But
there's one major piece of evidence that's missing in this case: the wife's body. Adrian Lewis faces first-degree murder and gun charges related to Shanita Lewis's disappearance back in July. 10 on your side's Chris Horn was in the courtroom for today's hearing and continues our coverage of this story for us.
Amy, in a nearly 5-hour preliminary hearing, incriminating evidence in the form of bloodstains, surveillance video, and phone records stacked up against Adrian Lewis. Even those closest to him testified that he was a direct threat to his wife, Shanita. The best friend of Adrian Lewis and his wife's sister told the court similar stories about Lewis's behavior in the months and weeks leading up to his wife's disappearance. They said Lewis threatened several times to kill his wife Shanita because he thought she was having an affair, but there was no evidence presented of any affair. In fact, his friend Mitchell Foreman testified that Lewis told him that he was cheating on his wife Shanita. When Foreman said, "You can't expect her to be faithful if you're cheating on her," Lewis allegedly responded, "I'm from the street, and I handle things the street way." Newport News police detectives told the court that Lewis had done web searches such as, would shooting someone in the back of the head paralyze them? What's the sentence for murder in Virginia? And would a gunshot wound to the head cause pain? Lewis had said that his neighbor had shot his dog, and that's where the blood on the passenger seat of his Chevy Silverado came from. But police testified that the blood matched samples of Shanita Lewis. Several witnesses testified that Lewis said he was having marital problems and had threatened to kill his wife on multiple occasions. Police also testified that they found a .380 caliber cartridge casing near the windshield wipers of Lewis's truck. Surveillance video shows Shanita Lewis alive at 9:34 the morning of July 17th, getting into the Chevy truck with her husband. But 6 minutes later, in a parking lot, Lewis is wiping the inside of the passenger door with his wife's legs visible on the passenger seat, motionless. And other video in court today showed Lewis pawning his wife's jewelry in Chesapeake 4 hours after she went missing. He was arrested early the next morning at Dulles Airport trying to board a flight to Jamaica. Although Shanita Lewis has never been found, Judge Kimberly Kirkjian certified the murder and gun charges against Lewis to the grand jury. Chris Horn, 10 on your side.
And a Norfolk judge sentenced a man to 6 years in prison for child pornography. Court documents say Robert Morris used a file-sharing program to provide more than 500 files showing sexual abuse of minors. Morris was an assistant dean of students and systems administrator at Wavy Leadership College when he was arrested. Prosecutors say he was previously administratively separated from the U.S. Navy for misconduct.
And new tonight, we all keep getting the reminders it's the time of year for sickness, so we need to take those precautions over the holidays. Centera health officials believe we're at the beginning of another wave of COVID, with cases climbing over the next few weeks, which is the worst possible timing. However, flu cases are on the decline, so they have a big reminder for you as you go about your holiday fun.
So washing your hands with water and soap would prevent transmission of many of these infections. Another thing that you can do, stay away from people who are sick, and with these infections, it's rather easy to spot someone that's coughing or sneezing.
The doctor also wants to remind you, if you're in a home with someone who is sick, it doesn't mean you're off the hook. You may still be infected even without showing any symptoms. Well, let's talk about the weather now for the weekend. The rain of yesterday is just a memory, and we have some pretty decent weather here for the next couple of days, so that's exciting.
It is, Amy, but it's going to feel a lot like December should, that's for sure. Hey, it's the holiday season, right? Our chief meteorologist, Jeff Edmondson, joins us with a peek at the weekend forecast. And when I said holiday season, I'm dropping a little hint there about what could lie in the future, but I'll let you handle that.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens long term, if we can get some snowfall before Christmas or not. It's always a low chance, but there's still a chance. Tonight we have a nice night across our area. Santa and Mrs. Claus hanging out in Virginia Beach Town Center right now. It looks like they're posing for a photograph with someone asking for what is, well, hopefully they're on the nice list, but have to see what Santa might be able to bring them for Christmas this year. We'll see conditions tonight staying nice and dry, getting colder. We'll have low temperatures dropping down to the 30s overnight across our area. And then into tomorrow, back to the 40s and low 50s. That's where we are right now, and that's what we're going to see again tomorrow. Weather like today coming up tomorrow, maybe not as warm compared to today, though. Could be a little cooler. Our temperatures are in the mid to low 30s by tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., so a cold start to the day. 34 degrees in Chesapeake, back to 40 degrees by 9 a.m., and we'll see our temperatures warming up into the mid 40s during the afternoon, and maybe even some spots near 50 degrees during the afternoon tomorrow. So we'll get close to 50 tomorrow. A lot of sunshine for the majority of the day. But as we go towards the end of the day, some cloud cover does develop and moves into the area. A little bit of a breeze out of the west, around 10 miles an hour, but it doesn't look to be too windy. And then into the evening, some extra cloud cover. But a great day for your Saturday. A couple of clouds passing by on Sunday. Temperatures will be in the 40s Sunday. We have to look forward to the long-range forecast with that timing for that rainfall into next week, with maybe a few snowflakes in the region. We'll have that forecast in just a bit.
So have that Wavy weather app on your phone all weekend long for the latest from Super Doppler 10.
The chill in the air has us bundling up a little bit more.
Some of us, anyway. Others still need a warm coat. So see how you can help right now after the break.
Plus, under pressure in the ER. More and more people are headed there with various medical issues. When is an urgent care or your regular doctor better? And in sports, the Commanders count down to a big Sunday night matchup with the Giants.
Craig has that and more as we get a look at the airport live. We're continuing this Friday night after this.
From the station on your side, you're watching Wavy News 10 at 6.
In the middle of the holiday season, of course, the chill is back in the air, which means the need for coats is out there.
Yeah, we've been working since Thanksgiving to collect coats for families with a lot of success, all thanks to you. 10 on your side, Stephanie Hudson is live now at Red Mill Commons where we're collecting tonight. Stephanie, it looks like you've already had a great turnout.
We have had a great turnout, and guess what? This really is appointment television. How do I know? Because Debbie told me that she saw that we were collecting coats for families again, and she wrote it down in her planner to be here tonight. Thank you so much for making us a part of your night. And you brought us coats from where?
From myself, our house, my sister's house, my daughter's house. I raided the community.
You raided the community because you saw that we needed coats, and specifically for kids, and you have a special place in your heart, right?
Yes, I do for the kids. I used to work with the public library with the children, and they need them.
They do. Yeah, we've seen it, the need in the community, and we thank you so much for your donation. And thank your family.
You're welcome. I will when I get home. I'm sure we all watch this channel for news, so they may be watching.
Well, thank you, family. We appreciate it so much. And Merry Christmas to you. And we want to say thank you to everyone who's come out here to Red Mill Commons today to donate. And we're going to be closing up shop here, but don't worry, there are still boxes located at several of the shops here at Red Mill Commons. You can make donations through December 30th. If you don't live around here, go to wavy.com and find a donation site near you. And again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for really donating and giving back to the community. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks so much. Tom?
Amen. And every night, 10 on your side is appointment television. Just want to emphasize that. All right. Thank you, Stephanie.
Absolutely.
Next at 6. Where to go if you have a medical issue, why the ER may not be your best option when we come back.
And smooth sailing for the weekend forecast, but what kind of jacket will you need to keep you warm? Jeff's forecast and much more all ahead here at 6. The tragedy in York County this morning is just one example of why doctors are asking you to think before you head to hospital emergency rooms.
Yeah, hospitals are bracing for a sharp increase in visits from patients of all ages in the coming weeks. 10 on your side's Regina Mobley joins us with that story tonight. Regina?
Well, citing federal rules, Riverside Health will not reveal any details about the patients who were treated following the horrific accident. Before the tragedy yesterday, an emergency room physician offered some advice for those unexpected visits to emergency rooms.
It's been a lot. The volume's been high and people have been very sick.
And many of the problems were caused by the unexpected. Early Friday, 3 people died and 22 were injured when a tractor trailer crashed into a party bus.
Our trauma numbers have climbed throughout the year. They're definitely higher this year than they were last year.
That's why doctors want you to use judgment before you head to the ER.
So the emergency department is still the place we want people to come if they are injured, if they have significant burns, if they have significant broken bones, or bleeding that won't stop, for any stroke symptoms, any weakness or numbness on one side of the body or the face, change in their speech, trouble with their balance, or sudden loss of their vision.
Factors that contribute to so-called preventable ER visits include income, education, employment, health insurance coverage, transportation, and internet access.
We're always a point of access for people who don't know where to seek care, and we're happy to be available for that.
Regardless of your ability to pay, doctors say prevention is still the best medicine.
Wash your hands, cover your cough and your sneeze. If you're not feeling well, stay home. People should consider vaccination for both influenza and coronavirus.
Doctors say vaccines can be life-saving for people who are older or who have multiple medical conditions. So when should you treat your symptoms at home? I have those tips and more in this story on Wavy.com. Regina Mobley, 10 on your side.
Now, your Super Doppler 10 forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jeff Edmondson.
Our temperatures will drop down into the 30s tonight. We'll see that colder air settle in. The skies are mostly clear. The wind will start to die off a bit. That humidity's lower. Right now, we're in the 40s across our area. So if you have any events that you're going to for this Friday night, you're going to want to have that warm jacket, as we'll be in the 30s in just the next couple of hours. Closer to the water may hold off until maybe early in the morning. But regardless, temperatures will be dropping here in the next several hours. Mostly clear skies tonight. There are some clouds out there right now. A lot of sunshine ahead coming up tomorrow as temperatures will be near 50 degrees for the daytime high temperature. We're going to get right into the model here to show you what's going on for the weekend, and then also we'll look ahead into next week too. We'll preview that. But for our Saturday, a lot of sunshine, more clouds develop during the afternoon. So we'll have some late day cloud cover that we'll see across our area. We won't get any rain from that. We'll stay dry. But into Sunday, though, might see a couple of flurries popping up from some thicker clouds across the eastern shore from a little disturbance off to our north that brings in that northwesterly flow. A little bit of moisture gets picked up from the Chesapeake Bay. You get a little bit of extra instability and lift, and you might see a snowflake or two. I don't expect any accumulation. It's just way too small for that. But a couple of snowflakes could be falling from the sky coming up on Sunday for the eastern shore. So enjoy that. That's just a pretty sight. Doesn't affect any travel. So that's a little bonus there for you. For the rest of us, we'll stay likely dry with sunshine into Sunday, and Monday as well. We'll continue to have that sunshine. Your temperatures for your Saturday will be in the low 50s, 51, 52, 53 degrees or so, 50 for Gloucester, and hanging out in the 40s for Melfa. Now, as we look to the longer range, that winter storm that's a possibility into late next week, Thursday and into Friday. Remember, we're 5 to 8 days out. We're in this zone here. So we see the pattern. We see that there's some type of storm that's developing. We're not anywhere close to the point where we can talk amounts or any detailed impacts of what it's going to be like on Friday if you have to travel out of town that day. It's too early to know what we're going to see from that. Anything that would be said is a total guess at this point because there's really no confidence in what these models are showing. But it does look plausible and likely that we're going to have a storm system with rainfall on Thursday and also a lot of wind with some rain on Friday. But what about the snowfall? Well, let's preview that. So here's our Friday morning. Likely a lot of rain across eastern Virginia, really from Richmond all the way to the coast and into much of North Carolina. A lot of rainfall with the colder air staying off to our west. Into the evening on Friday, still rain, a lot of rain, and probably a lot of wind with that. Maybe a brief switch over the snowfall from this updated model, but that doesn't last long. Flurries move out. We'll have the whole storm system move up by Saturday. So that doesn't look very snowy. It looks very snowy towards D.C., but not so much for us. Maybe a few snowflakes, that's it. So that's why we have to keep an eye on this forecast. We're still 6 to 7 days out, and it'll keep changing every day.
Well, could Dan Snyder be one step closer to selling the Washington Commanders? The latest on that coming up. And what possibly changes just 2 weeks since the last meeting between Washington and the Giants? Sports Wrap is next.
Sports Wrap, sponsored by Marco's Pizza. Marco's Pizza lovers get it.
Division III basketball last night in Virginia Beach. Number 1 Christopher Newport visiting Virginia Wesleyan. Marlins down 76-75 after the CNU go-ahead score. This is Omari DeVoe driving the length of the court, lays it in at the buzzer for the shocking 77-76 win. Take one more look at it, knocking off the top-ranked captains, actually handing CNU their second straight loss. Wesleyan goes to 11-1 on the season after the win. DeVoe led the Marlins with 27 points in the game. All right, happy Friday, everyone. I'm Craig Loper. Welcome back. In no way does a win against the Giants lock Washington into the postseason for certain, but it gives them an 86% chance to get in, according to Football Outsiders. And everyone would take those odds, considering this team was 1-4 after the first 5 weeks of the season. Just the third time since the 1970 merger, a team has played a game against an opponent and then had a bye week and then played the same opponent 2 weeks later. It rarely ever happens, and when you really break this down, Washington has been studying clips of the Giants for about 3 weeks now. Safe to say they know each other quite well. Last game, Taylor Heineke was sacked 4 times in the matchup, and here he was on facing the G-men front 7 once again.
Yeah, so they have a bunch of different looks, a bunch of different exotic looks too, and they bring a bunch of different exotic blitzes. So you have to be aware of where the line's going, where you're hot. You have to know all that on every single play. So yeah, it can get difficult at times, but at the same time, there's a trade-off to that. Sometimes they do that and they get out of place. So it's all about execution. If you're on it, you know what you're supposed to do. Get the ball out quick. We should be fine.
And the off-the-field news of the week when it comes to the franchise, Bank of America is reportedly moving forward with the process for Dan Snyder to consider offers for the team. That's according to the Washington Post. The bank is reportedly set to send prospectus for the team to potential buyers that agree to remain confidential. The Washington Huddle is tonight at 10:30 on Fox 43. Be sure to check it out after SmackDown from Chicago. It's a full 30-minute show previewing the Week 15 game against the Giants, breaking down all angles of the game. Also going to talk some fantasy football with expert Jake Seeley. And Chase Young was officially listed as questionable today on the final injury report of the week. I'm Craig Loper, and I'll see you back here tonight at 11.
And here's what's coming up tonight on News Nation live in primetime. Tonight on Dan Abrams Live.
The new Casey Anthony documentary's out, and for the first time we hear from Anthony herself. She's blaming her dad for the death of 2-year-old Kaylee. We talked to a reporter who's covered George Anthony extensively.
That's tonight on Dan Abrams Live.
News Nation is on the cable and satellite providers on the channels on your screen. Our next newscast is coming up at 6:30 over on Fox 43, so I'll see you there.
So let's see, is Santa still in his bubble?
I think he's right there. And Mrs. Claus, oh, somebody is coming out. I don't know. Oh, an elf. An elf is coming out.
He can't live life in a bubble.
Exactly. Well, there's lots of kids there asking Santa for what they want for Christmas, and it looks like a great time out there.
Well, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night. We'll see you back here at 11.